Choshu Record. Chapter 1 Heshuo Long Journey. The cold wind is like a knife, and snowflakes cover the land of Zhongzhou. The great poet Ji Xingzhou embarked on the road to the south, carrying a book bag and holding a pen tube, writing the rise and fall of people in the history of Jin along the way. He secretly sighed in his heart, the country is fragile, and people's hearts are unpredictable. It was dark that day, and he arrived at Pingshan City, where the inn was filled with fireworks and a slight warmth. The door of the inn was heavy and mottled. Ji Xingzhou pushed the door in, the lights in the inn were dim, and several servants were busy shuttling around. After sitting down, he accidentally raised his eyes and saw a woman arranging tea sets in the corner. The eyebrows and eyes are beautiful, the eyes are like water, although the clothes are simple, but there is a dignified aura of a palace person. The night is getting darker, and the snow falls silently. The conversation between Ji Xingzhou and the woman was like a fire in a cold night, illuminating the loneliness in his heart. The woman suddenly whispered, "I was once a palace maid of the homeland, and after the country was destroyed, I lived here for." Ji Xingzhou was stunned, and a sadness arose in his heart. Chapter 2 The Secret of the Inn. The next morning, the courtyard of the inn was shrouded in mist. Ji Xingzhou strolled through the courtyard, thinking about the woman's words last night. He saw her sitting quietly at the stone table, her hands caressing the scroll, her eyes thoughtful. "Young lady, why are you sitting alone?" Ji Xingzhou approached and asked. The woman smiled faintly, a trace of sadness in her eyes. "This place is unlike a palace. While there are no high walls and gates, it's hard to conceal the complexities of human nature. People often come to me, seeking to inquire about state affairs or plotting against the past of my homeland." Ji Xingzhu's heart trembled, sensing something far more profound. "Can you tell me?" The woman sighed softly, her gaze darting towards the snowy mountains in the distance. "This matter involves the injustice of the last emperor and his ministers. If I were to disclose it, I might even risk my life." Ji Xingzhou remained silent. A sense of responsibility swelled in his heart. If he could record these histories in his pen, he might be able to leave a trace of comfort for her in the broken rivers and mountains. Chapter 3 The Old Shadow of the Palace People. Late at night, Ji Xingzhou flipped through the court documents left by the woman. The paper was slightly yellow, and it densely recorded the secrets of the homeland court and the unjust cases of the last monarch and ministers. Between the lines, the loyalty, betrayal, and blood and tears of countless people are revealed. The woman stood in front of the window, staring at the lonely city gate on a snowy night, her voice low. "Those loyal ministers and soldiers, no one remembers them after the country was destroyed, and I don't want their stories to disappear." Ji Xingzhu's words flowed through his pen, and he felt a chill penetrate into his bone marrow, but his heart became more and more determined. He wanted to write all this into Chongzhou Lu, so that future generations would know this history of blood and tears intertwined with grandeur and tenderness. Chapter 4 Wind and Snow Night Talk. On a snowy night, Ji Xingzhou and the woman sat opposite each other, their conversation lasting until midnight. The woman discussed palace secrets, the fall of her homeland, and the ups and downs of her family. Ji Xingzhou recounted anecdotes of Hebei's literature and history. Their worlds intertwined, as if time had stood still. The woman said softly, "If you write these words, you may be able to change the memory of future generations of your homeland." Ji Xingzhou nodded silently, secretly vowing in his heart, no matter how difficult it is, he must complete this history book. Chapter 5 Broken Mountains and Rivers. Outside the post house, the clash of weapons echoed at the gates of Pingshan City. Merchants and travelers cried out in the distance, fearing thieves might be roaming the city walls. The woman's face was grave. These are troubled times. With the nation in ruins, everyone is driven by profit. The mountains and rivers are shattered, and the people are suffering. Ji Xingzhou looked at the snowflakes falling outside the window and felt heavy in his heart. What he recorded was not only words, but also blood and tears, loyalty and treachery, love and righteousness. Chapter 6 The Secret Path Exploration. The woman took Ji Xingzhou into the secret passage in the backyard of the inn, which was deep and dark, and the stone walls were carved with ancient symbols. She whispered, this was once a place for the palace people of the homeland to avoid disaster, and it was also a hiding place for state secrets. Ji Xingzhou stroked the stone wall and felt the heaviness of the years. He silently wrote down every detail in his heart, afraid that he would miss every detail. Chapter 7 The Bloody Scroll. At the end of the secret passage, the woman took out a blood-colored scroll that recorded the last words and deeds of the monarch and ministers of her homeland. After Ji Xingzhou finished reading, blood and tears seeped into the paper, and tragic words seemed to flow out of his pen automatically. The woman whispered, this is our history, perhaps the last testimony. Ji Xingzhou nodded, knowing the weight of his responsibility. Chapter 8 Dreaming of a Snowy Night. At night, Ji Xingzhou dreamed of returning to his homeland and saw the candles of the court, the neighing of war horses, and the shouts of loyal ministers. When you wake up, you can still feel the bloody and desolate atmosphere of the dream. He looked at the woman and found that her expression was equally solemn, as if she had seen this bloody tear in a dream. Chapter 9 Heroic Spirit. The next day, Ji Xingzhou and the woman stepped out of the inn, looking at the mountains and rivers in the distance. Covered with snow, on the wilderness, the shadows of the heroic spirits of the former soldiers and spirits could be faintly seen among the ruins. The woman whispered, their grandeur still protects this land. Ji Xingzhou took up a pen and wrote, heroes and beauties, tenderness and iron bones, history will record their names. Chapter 10 Blood and tears are intertwined. Ji Xingzhou and the woman sat in the study room of the inn at night, the lights swayed and the books were spread out. The wind and snow outside the window howled, and the story of blood and tears in the house was reborn in the words. Ji Xingzhou secretly thought, this interweaving of grandeur and tenderness, love and hatred and national hatred will surely turn into the deepest chapter of his life. The woman's eyes fell on the pen-tip text and said softly, if future generations read this book, they may be able to understand that what we have protected is not only the country, but also the beliefs and emotions in our hearts. Ji Xingzhou nodded, his eyes moist. He knew that this was just the beginning of the journey, and the story of troubled times was about to unfold. Chapter 11 Suddenly an urgent report. Inside the inn, the sound of snow was faint, but the sound of hurried horse hooves could be heard. A messenger hurried in, carrying a letter. Sir, miss, we've received news from the northern border, there's unrest in the border towns, high officials have been captured, and the people are wailing. The woman frowned slightly and said softly, this is a troubled time, and news always brings blood and tears. Ji Xingzhou's heart was heavy, and he took notes on the ups and downs of the people's life and death at this moment, and these fragments of information gradually outlined a complete picture of troubled times under his pen. Chapter 12 The Legacy of the Unjust Case. The woman took Ji Xingzhou to a hidden room in the backyard of the inn. There are several volumes of broken historical books and court memorials placed in the room. She whispered, these are the fragments of the unjust cases of the homeland, if you don't write them down, no one will know the names of those framed ministers. Ji Xingzhou flipped through the book, the pages were faintly stained with blood, and the words were mottled but full of heroism. He wrote concentrated under the light, and the words were heavy, as if he had engraved the life and death of the people, the ups and downs of his family and country, into history stroke by stroke. Chapter 13 Eavesdropping in the Dark Night. In the dead of night, Ji Xingzhou and the woman were already asleep, but there were whispers in the corridor of the inn. The woman walked lightly to the window and saw several men in black quietly hiding in the night, as if they were monitoring the inn. Ji Xingzhou's heart was shocked and he thought to himself, there must be palace forces involved behind this, which will cause even greater turmoil. The woman whispered, in troubled times, crises are everywhere. If you record history, you also need to be careful about your own safety. Chapter 14 Bloody Letter. Early the next morning, the woman took out a blood-colored letter from the secret room. The handwriting on the letter was messy, but the words were unforgettable. Ji Seung-jo took it and was shocked in his heart. Who left this? The woman smiled lightly, with tears in her eyes. It is a secret message sent by the ministers of the former country before their deaths, and their loyalty and grief must be known by future generations. Ji Seung-jo flipped through the letter and felt the intertwined atmosphere of vicissitudes of life and blood and tears, and the words in his pen flowed with it, as if the sorrow of the entire homeland was condensed on paper. Chapter 15 Shadows in the Snow. Outside the inn, the snow has not stopped, and the sound of horses' hooves on the mountain road has faded away, bringing news and fluctuations inside and outside the inn. Ji Seung-jo walked to the city gate with the woman and saw soldiers escorting prisoners from afar, their bodies strong but sad. The woman whispered, "The mountains and rivers are broken, where are the heroes? Every life is a microcosm of this troubled world." Ji Seung-soo's heart throbbed, and the words in his pen added a heavy color. Chapter 16 The Hidden Files. The woman led Ji Seung-jo into a secret room, which was filled with old scrolls and court documents, including the emperor's secret edicts, eunuch notes, and scholar official letters. She said in a low tone, "These are all residual historical materials, and if they are not recorded, there is no way to pursue the truth." Ji Seung-jo read each volume carefully, and between the lines there were palace conspiracies, family and country grievances, and the misery of the orphans of the fallen country, and his pen tip re-injected these stories into history like blood. Chapter 17 The Cold Wind. Night fell again, the wind and snow outside the inn were biting, and the window lattices were rustling with snow. Ji Seung-jo stared out the window, pondering in his heart, if there are no historical records, these tragedies will be covered with the snow, and no one knows. He whispered, "Recording history is not just about writing words, but about carrying life." The woman stood beside him, her eyes solemn and soft, and she felt the same way in her heart. Chapter 18 Writing and Blood and Tears. Ji Seung-jo wrote day and night, the shadow of the lamp swayed, and blood and tears seemed to flow between the words. He recorded the words and deeds of the loyal ministers of his homeland, the wails of the common people, and the loneliness of the palace women on the scroll one by one. The woman occasionally whispers, supplementing details, and the cooperation between the two makes the text more soulful. This writing process is like a baptism of the soul, and it also gives them a deeper understanding of troubled times and people's hearts. Chapter 19 The Post-House Turmoil. There was an undercurrent in the inn, and the man in black appeared again, trying to steal the books. The woman quickly noticed and whispered to Ji Seung-jo to hide. The two worked together to expel the man in black, but the ensuing crisis made Ji Seung-jo realize that writing records alone was not enough to protect these histories. The woman said softly, "We can record, but we can't prevent the tragedy from happening again." Chapter 20 Mountains and Rivers and Commitments. The wind and snow stopped, and dawn began. Ji Seung-jo and the woman climbed to the heights of the inn, overlooking the snow-covered mountains and rivers, and a sense of sadness and firmness rose in their hearts. The woman said, "This land has been stained with blood and has been guarded by loyalty. Our pen can allow these great spirits to spread." Ji Seung-jo nodded, and the words in his pen were like charcoal in the snow, igniting the light of history. No matter how the world ups and downs, this heroic spirit and beautiful tenderness will be forever recorded. The two looked at each other and smiled, knowing in their hearts that this was just the beginning of blood and tears in troubled times, and their story would slowly unfold in Changzhou Lu. Chapter 21 The Bloody Battle of the Border City. Outside the post house, the sounds of battle clashed in the distant border town. Ji Seung-jo and the woman rushed to the city gate, where they witnessed a fierce battle between soldiers and militiamen, the snow stained red with blood. The woman frowned. In troubled times, life and death are unpredictable. Ji Seung-jo kept recording this sudden war in detail, and every fallen soldier and every drop of blood melted into the snow water appeared vivid and heavy in his words. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 22 Tears of Orphans. After the war, Ji Xingzhou and the woman searched for survivors in the rubble. The woman picked up a crying orphan and comforted her in a low voice. Don't be afraid, we will write down the names of your parents for you. Ji Xingzhou wrote down the orphans' life experience, the heroism and tragedy of their parents into his notes one by one. He knows that these scattered fragments of life are the bloodline of history. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 23 The Court Emissary. A secret envoy suddenly came to the inn and handed over a scarlet letterhead. The letter details the undercurrent and unsolved cases of the homeland court. The woman whispered, "These are all undisclosed inside information, if they are not recorded, they will be buried in the world." Ji Xingzhou read the letter carefully, and the words in his pen flowed with it, turning the conspiracies of the court and the sacrifices of loyal ministers into history one by one. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 24 Night Storm. At night, the wind howled outside the inn. Ji Xingzhou and the woman whispered under the lights to discuss the next move. They understand that recording history is not only about writing words, but also about bearing life and death, undercurrents, and conspiracies. The woman said, "Every piece of text is a guardian of the past and a warning to the future." Underscore 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 un. Chapter 25 Escape in the Snow. The inn was suddenly attacked by thieves, and the woman quickly led Ji Xingzhou through the secret passage in the backyard. The two hid in the snowy forest, and their figures gradually drifted away in the snow. Ji Xingzhou still did not forget to record every detail during his escape, and the words were like fire, illuminating the danger in the night. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 26 The book is taken away. On the way, thieves forcibly snatched some of the books. The woman's eyes were firm. They can't take away the truth. The power of history is hidden in the pen. Ji Xingzhou nodded. He understood that writing is not only a record, but also a way to protect these stories. He was determined to bring back the remaining scrolls intact. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 27 The Shadow of the Distant Mountains. The two passed through the distant mountains, shrouded in fog. The woman whispered, "This mountain was once the place of the emissaries of the homeland, and it is also the place where many wronged souls rest." Ji Xingzhou observed carefully, and the words in his pen seemed to be able to freeze the shadow and sorrow of this underworld in the history scrolls. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 28 Secret Documents. In a secret cave in the mountains, the woman took out a roll of unpublished court documents. Between the lines, it is revealed that the emperor's secret orders, the collusion of eunuchs, the loyalty and rebellion of the soldiers. Ji Xingzhou copied the words carefully, and the words in his pen were like the fire of a snowy night, illuminating the vast history. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 29 Unjust Cases Emerge. Ji Xingzhou sorted out the documents and found that the truth about the unjust case of the last monarch of his homeland gradually emerged. The woman sighed. Their loyalty is finally distorted, and only words can preserve their innocence. Ji Xingzhou silently left annotations on the pen, and the words were like iron, depicting the interweaving of loyal ministers and the injustice of the world. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 30 Dawn after the snowstorm. The night snow stopped, and the dawn light shone on the distant mountains. Ji Xingzhou and the woman climbed to the top of the mountain, overlooking the broken mountains and rivers, and their hearts were intertwined with sadness and firmness. The woman said, "This land has been stained with blood and has been guarded by loyalty. The pen of history is the only legacy we can leave to future generations." The two looked at each other, knowing in their hearts that the story of troubled times had just begun, and their Changzhou Lu would slowly unfold in the wind and snow, telling the history of blood, tears, and loyalty. Chapter 31 The Imperial City Changes. Ji Xingzhou and the woman arrived at the Imperial City, only to find the gates heavily guarded and soldiers on high alert. A horn blared in the distance, hinting at unrest within the court. The woman whispered, "Within the Imperial City, eunuchs and ministers are squabbling. A bloody storm is about to descend." Ji Xingzhou secretly wrote down every detail and felt the magnificence of this desolate land. Chapter 32 The Court Conspiracy. At night, the woman took Ji Xingzhou to sneak into the side hall of the Imperial City and obtain secret reports and memorials. The volume reveals that the eunuchs colluded with foreign forces in an attempt to seize power and push the country into a greater crisis. Ji Xingzhou's words are like sharp blades, revealing the conspiracies one by one. The woman said, "Only by recording the truth can we leave it to future generations to warn." Chapter 33 The Fall of the Loyal Minister. In the turmoil of the court, loyal ministers were framed one after another, and blood stained the scrolls. Ji Xingzhou looked at the letters and memorials, and the words in his pen became heavier and heavier. He wrote down every name, every death in the line of duty, every period of loyalty, life, and death intertwined into a tragic chapter. Chapter 34 The Imperial City Wind and Snow. The night snow was flying in the Imperial City, and the palace women took Ji Xingzhou to walk in the corridor of the side hall, and the cold wind was like a knife. The woman whispered, "There is too much blood and tears hidden in this snow, and history seems thick in troubled times." Ji Xingzhou pondered in his heart, and the words in his pen added a desolate atmosphere, like a lone lamp burning on a snowy night. Chapter 35 The Loss of Books. There was a sudden change in the palace, and some books were stolen. The woman whispered urgently, "These words are the soul of the homeland and cannot be lost." Ji Xingzhou and her worked together to rehide the book in the secret room, and the words became more and more vivid in the tension and crisis. Chapter 36 Night Tracking. At night, Ji Xingzhou found several men in black following him. The woman reminded, "There is no place safe in troubled times, and our riding is also accompanied by danger." The two used the night and secret passages to hide, and Ji Xingzhou secretly wrote down every whereabouts and hidden details in his heart, and wrote the night, tracking intention into words. Chapter 37 Secret Talks and Strategies. The two hid in a dark room, studied court documents, and discussed how to expose civil strife and the injustice of loyal ministers. The woman said in a deep voice, "All we can do is write down the truth, and history will testify for us." Ji Xingzhou wrote strategies and discoveries into notes, and the words were like battlefield commands, intertwining history and reality. Chapter 38 The Truth of the Unjust Case. After sorting out documents and letters for several days, Ji Xingzhou finally clarified the truth about the unjust case of the last monarch of his homeland. His words are solidified like steel, every name can be cleared, and every story can be reborn. With tears in her eyes, she whispered, "They can finally be remembered by history." Chapter 39 The Court Storm. The storm within the Imperial City intensified, ministers and eunuchs fought for power, and soldiers and people suffered. Ji Xingzhou and the woman rode in the inn, recording every turmoil, every drop of blood and tears, every loyalty and betrayal. On a snowy night, words are like flames, illuminating the entire desolate history. Chapter 40 A new chapter begins. The wind and snow stopped, and the glimmer of dawn illuminated the Imperial City. Ji Xingzhou and the woman stood on the height of the inn, looking at the broken mountains and rivers in the distance, feeling the heaviness and grandeur of history. He whispered, "This is just the beginning, the story of troubled times is about to unfold, and our Choshu Lu will record blood and tears, loyalty and love and hate, so that future generations will never forget it." The woman smiled, with perseverance and tenderness in her eyes, and the two tacitly continued to write, transforming the desolate history into an eternal chapter. Chapter 41 The End of the Court. In the imperial city, the fight between eunuchs and ministers reached its peak, and the blood spread. Ji Xingzhou and the woman flipped through the last batch of secret memorials, and found that the loyalty and grievances of the last monarch and ministers of the homeland had been completely revealed. The woman whispered, "This is their last proof, perhaps, only words can speak for them." Ji Xingzhou's words are like sharp blades, carving out the dark tide of the palace and the blood and tears of loyal ministers one by one. Chapter 42 Snowy Night Protection Scroll. On a snowy night outside the inn, the man in black attacked again, intending to snatch the books. The woman quickly led Ji Xingzhou into the secret passage, and the two avoided tracking. Ji Xingzhou secretly made up his mind in his heart, the book must not be lost no matter what, and history must be preserved intact. Chapter 43 The Loyal Soul Reappears. In the night, Ji Xingzhou dreamed of the loyal ministers, soldiers and palace people of his homeland reappearing, dressed in snow clothes and resolute eyes. The woman said softly on the side, "Their souls still protect this land, and our pens are just transmitting their voices." After Ji Xingzhou woke up from his dream, he wrote the scenes in his dream into the volume one by one, and the words were as vivid as blood. Chapter 44 The Unjust Case is Cleared. Through secret reports and book collation, the injustice of the homeland was finally revealed. The words in Ji Xingzhou's pen are engraved with the name of every loyal minister, every grievance and courage. The woman's eyes were filled with tears, they can finally rest in peace in history. Chapter 45 Bloody Dawn. At dawn, the wind and snow in the imperial city gradually stopped. Ji Xingzhou and the woman climbed high and looked into the distance, seeing the broken mountains and rivers and the hope of reconstruction. The text records the grandeur and tenderness between mountains and rivers, turning the ruin of the country and the destruction of the family, loyalty and righteousness, and love and hate into eternal chapters. Chapter 46 Writing and Commitment. Ji Xingzhou and the woman sat at the inn at night, the lights swaying. The woman said, "All we can do is write down the truth so that future generations will not forget it." Ji Xingzhou picked up the pen and condensed the blood, tears, and loyalty of the entire homeland into words, and the words in his pen were like fire, burning the entire vast history. Chapter 47 Orphans and Afterlife. Ji Xingzhou and the woman recorded the life and death fragments of orphans and people, and the words revealed awe and compassion for life. The woman whispered, "These lives, even if the past is forgotten, can still be reborn in words." Chapter 48 Encountering Wind and Snow Again. It snowed again outside the inn, Ji Xingzhou wrote with a pen, and the snowflakes were like historical marks, covering the mountains and rivers. He recorded all the wars, loyal souls, blood and tears, and palace secrets of this season in Changzhou Lu, and every word and sentence was filled with desolation and grandeur. Chapter 49 Choshu Recorded. After several months of sorting, Ji Xingzhou finally completed Changzhou Lu. The book is thick, recording the tragedy and tenderness of the last monarchs, soldiers and people, and palace women of the homeland. The woman stood aside with tears in her eyes. "Our words will let future generations know the blood and fire of this land." Ji Xingzhou whispered, history will never forget them again. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 50. The long night is over. The wind and snow stopped, and dawn began to appear. Ji Xingzhou and the woman stepped out of the inn, looking at the broken mountains and rivers in the hope of rebirth from a high place. The new children replace the old time, history and memory are intertwined, and only Choshu Lu will last forever. Ji Xingzhou picked up the pen, and his heart was magnificent. This period of grandeur and tenderness, love and hate, blood and tears, will be recorded forever, and will make future generations full of tears. The woman smiled, the two stood side by side, and in the wind and snow and dawn, the chapter of Choshu Lu finally came to an end, but the echoes of history still echoed among the mountains and rivers.